All right, today's theme is temporal mastery. And this is something I've been living into in my own practice. And I'm also excited to bring it forward for our shared field. It's been coming up in the Brave Mystic training spaces. And in those spaces, we have given it this abbreviation called DST. That's Delta Sierra Tango, Divine Standard Time. And it's this idea of time that is not chronological. It is aligned with the spiral, right? Time that doesn't move in a line, but time that moves in a spiral. It's not the kind of time that you track with a clock. It's sacred timing. When we speak of temporal mastery and divine standard time, we're talking about a leadership that moves not from pressure, but from presence. Leadership that is guided not from the calendar, but from Kairos. There are two types or kinds of time that we can live by. One is Chronos, the mechanical linear time of clocks and calendars and deadlines. And the second type of time is Kairos, the mystical, felt time of right moments and divine openings. Chronos time says it's 3:10 p.m. Kairos says the time is now. And visionary leaders know we are here to listen for that now. Today's journey is about remembering that kind of timing. How to lead from it. How to feel for it. And how to trust it when it comes. So I welcome you into this divine standard time hour of resonance, of reflection, and of realignment. So let's begin. Chronos versus Kairos. Let's start by opening the frame. There are two primary models of time that shape our experience of the world and our way of leading within it. The first is Chronos. Chronos is clock time. It is linear, it is measured, it is mechanical. It is based in the 3D. Our atomic clocks use the measurement of vibrations of atoms and use that very 3D type of measurement, use that to derive a linear experience of time. Chronos is the kind of time we are trained to live by. Minutes, deadlines, schedules, quarters, projections. Chronos time is useful. I mean, think about it. It keeps our trains and planes running at pace, on time. It's useful for helping us to organize shared experiences in consensus reality. But if we as leaders lead only from Chronos, we burn out. If we lead only from Chronos, we burn out. And here's why. Leadership that is rooted only in Chronos time often tries to force fruit out of season. And that's simply not sustainable. It can work for a while, but it is a recipe for burnout. Chronos time is how soils become depleted, trying to force fruit out of season. You could describe Chronos as the quantity of time. And then there is Kairos. Kairos is sacred time. It is time you can feel. It's the moment when the veil parts, and then you know in your soul it's time to act. Kairos brings moments that you can't really plan for, but you definitely feel when it arrives. So if Chronos is the quantity of time, Kairos is the quality of time. Chronos asks, what time is it? Right? Looking to the 3D for a shared consensus reality measurement, right? Quantity. What time is it? Kairos asks, is the field ready? Is the field ready? Chronos asks, how long will this take? Kairos whispers, now. Let's consider the image of a surfer sitting out in the ocean. Chronos can measure the clock, but only Kairos can feel the wave. And this is how visionary leadership works. You can't force your moment. You must attune to it. In a world where often the mainstream advice is to bring more hustle or more urgency to a project, Kairos whispers to us that maybe what the project needs is not more hustle, but more time to ripen. You may want to launch right now, but the field may be whispering, not yet. Kairos is not about delay. It's about prioritizing alignment. When you make the conscious choice to honor Kairos, you stop trying to create timing. It's no longer using the force of will to try to create timing. Instead, when you honor Kairos, you start tuning to the timing. And here's the mystery. Kairos does not announce its arrival with trumpets. It often arrives in moments of stillness. Kairos often feels like a quiet yes, or a subtle but perceptible shift of energy. Almost like we are suddenly tuning into an invisible green light. As leaders, the more we cultivate our presence and our inner stillness, the more fluent we become in the language of Kairos. So as we move forward in today's radio hour, I invite you to notice, where in your life are you currently leading from Chronos? And where is Kairos asking to enter? Because when we choose to walk with Kairos, we don't just manage time, we become timeless. So let's take this even deeper. What if leadership isn't just about what you do, but when you do it? Think about the most ready example that's coming to me is a joke, right? How much of comedy comes down to timing? What if being funny isn't just what you say, but when you say it? In a similar way, our leadership isn't just about what we do, it's also when we do it. What if timing is not something outside of us, but a skill within us? So let's offer a reframe here. Kairos attunement is a muscle of leadership. It is a muscle. Tuning into Kairos, which is divine standard time, sensing the readiness of the field and moving in sync, in flow, in harmony with it, that is a muscle. We can train this muscle. We can sense it, and we can live by it. And it all starts with learning to listen to the energy. Let me say that again. Leadership begins with energetic listening. Energetic listening. This is a style of listening that goes beyond intuition and transcends and exceeds the realm of logic. when we activate our energetic listening, we tune in and sense the moment. We sense the field. We sense the rhythm, the pulse. And then we ask, is it time yet? Let's explore how this looks in real life. You walk into a room and you sense it's not time to pitch your idea yet. That's Kairos. Maybe the meeting was on the calendar, and that's Chronos. But maybe you walk into the room and the field that you enter into whispers, it's not time to pitch yet. That's the whisper of Kairos. As visionary leaders, we have to make a decision. Do we disregard the whisper of Kairos, divine standard time, and choose to act according only to Chronos, right? Because, hey, it's, the meeting was scheduled. It's here. It's 3 p.m. Here we are. I guess this is just what we're doing, right? That's bowing to Chronos. But Kairos is that higher frequency of wisdom, and Kairos whispers and says, it's just not time yet. And so we get to make the choice. Which will we honor? Second example, let's say you're halfway through a project launch and you feel the current of energy shift. You feel it. And so to honor Kairos, you choose to pivot with the shift. Third example, you delay making a decision, not out of fear, but because you can sense that the timeline simply is not open yet. These are not acts of indecision. These are acts of temporal mastery. Now let's talk about the signs that Kairos gives, right? The signs that arrive with attunement to the field. How do we know when Kairos is whispering, now is the time? The field is ready. There are energetic signals that tell us that the field is saying yes. And here's several of them. 1, synchronicities start stacking. The effort feels fluid, not forced. You feel a clarity in your body. No push, no panic, just a calm knowing. People show up effortlessly. Or people vanish suddenly if they're not aligned. And finally, the idea that's been brewing for a while suddenly clicks. These are the energetic signals that the field is saying yes. And when Kairos arrives, it's like the sky opens. It may not always be dramatic, but it definitely lands. You feel it in your spine, in your skin, in your inner knowing. Now, a word of caution here. Particularly here in the West, we have been trained to override Kairos. In our modern culture, we have been trained to push, to rush, to meet the deadline, even if the soul is not aligned. And that's part of the paradigm that this Visionary Leadership Radio Hour serves to challenge, to offer an alternative to. Because visionary leaders learn to feel before they act. Not because we desire to delay endlessly, but because we know that the greatest moves happen when the field is ripe. One of my favorite metaphors for this is the archer and the bow. The archer and the bow. Chronos asks the archer, "Why aren't you shooting yet?" Kairos says, "The arrow must align with the wind." Visionary leaders wait for the wind. And when they shoot, that arrow lands exactly where it is meant to. This is your power. You do not just lead with plans, you lead with pulse. You don't chase the timeline, you tune to it. And this is what it means to be a temporal master. Okay, so let's do a ritual practice together. Let's practice embodying Kairos. All right, so let's slow things down. Wherever you are, take a moment to soften. Let your body release any tension. Unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Feel gravity doing its work. Gently, invisibly, reliably. And now bring one hand to your heart and the other to your belly. And let's take a breath together, in through the nose. Exhale with an audible sigh. Now, I want you to call something forward in your mind's eye. A project, a transition, a decision that's on your horizon, something that is asking for movement, but you're not sure when or how. Let this situation rise in your awareness. Don't judge it, just notice it. Now, gently, let's ask, is the field open? Is the Kairos moment truly here, or is it still forming? Am I in sync with divine timing? Or am I trying to force my own? Okay, so here's the key. Instead of answering with your mind, I invite you to feel the response in your body. Let your body tell you. Bringing that situation into your awareness, what does your body say? Is there a sensation of openness? Does it feel ripe? Does it feel still? Paused? Heavy? Light? It can even feel smooth like glass or rough like sandpaper or anything in between. There is no right answer. It's just resonance. And if the energy feels closed, just honor that. And if it feels ripe and ready, receive that. And if it feels mysterious, beautiful, let that be sacred also. The idea here is to create a space for your somatic intelligence to help you sense Kairos time. Our logic, our reasoning, the structures, our training, how we were raised, all of that brain noise falls into the category of Chronos. But my fascia doesn't know what time it is on a man-made clock. My fascia operates on Kairos time. So when we as visionary leaders form the sacred intention to sense the moment. We use more than our mind. Our body can be the instrument that reveals to us the synchrony of Kairos time. All right, one more time. Hand on the heart, other hand on the belly. Let's speak this invocation. I'm going to speak it twice. I release false urgency. I trust the ripening of all things. I move in sacred rhythm with what wants to be born. I attune to Kairos. I walk with sacred timing. Again, I release false urgency. I trust the ripening of all things. I move in sacred rhythm with what wants to be born. I attune to Kairos. I walk with sacred timing. Let that seed settle. In Kairos time, you cannot be behind. You cannot be late. You are right on time for your time. And from this stillness, we listen. We feel. We remember what it means to lead, not by pressure, but by presence. And the next time Kairos whispers to you, you will recognize its voice. All right, I'm going to share a couple stories of Kairos leadership to help us bring this out of the abstract and into the real. Sometimes the best way to understand Kairos is through stories. Moments when something aligned so perfectly, you just knew. It was not strategy. It was not planning. It was timing. Sacred timing. Let me share 3 stories with you now. First story. The download that waited. A few years ago, I had a vision for a program. It came in strong, came in fast, and it felt important. And so I did what many of us do. I started building. I started mapping it out. I worked on the name of the program. And I even started designing the first few modules of this program. But something was off. Every time I tried to move it forward, it felt like the current was pushing back. Doors didn't open. It felt like energy was not responding. And if I'm completely honest, somatically in my body, I was feeling a subtle no. But my ego wanted to keep pushing. Felt important. It felt good. It felt like good work to do, but the field was subtly pushing back. So here's what I did. I paused. I put it on the shelf. I didn't trash the notes. I didn't delete the work that I had done to prepare for it, the scaffolding, the structure. I just set it aside and I let it cook. And months later, it was actually about 5 months later. It's not a short period of time. About 5 months later, out of nowhere, suddenly the energy shifted. Right time, right place, a single conversation, and suddenly the portal is open. The right collaborators appeared and brought language that I was missing. A couple key phrases, a couple key terms. I was very much on the right track, but I was waiting for the key, some of the keys, to help open the doors. And suddenly the right people appeared and they brought with them the right language. And so the design began to fully download, complete in the new language. And it came through clearer, deeper, and truer than it had ever been before. It's not that I was wrong to start back then when I started. I was simply early. The idea needed time to ripen. And when it did, it arrived whole. And all I had to do was say yes. And there's a subtle wisdom here because, as I shared, my ego wanted to keep going. Because my ego, there's something that my ego is like, oh, this is good. This is good work. This is important. And I really want to get it out. And so I had to make a choice. Am I going to prioritize the needs of my ego, which is productivity and feeling like I walked something over the finish line, like success, completion, I was productive, I got something done, I birthed something, right? Was I going to listen to that voice, which is, it's still valid. It's just not the visionary leader choice, right? The voice is still valid, but the visionary leader says, yes, I see and I feel all of that, and it has its place. But the field is asking for time to ripen. So I had to choose to prioritize alignment. And that's this deeper layer of wisdom. Because the world, oftentimes, the mainstream, they're like, oh, get out of your own way, just push it over, hustle harder. But the field is asking now for visionary leaders to synchronize with Kairos. To set our clocks to divine standard time. Story 2, the archer and the wind. We used this metaphor earlier. Let's go deeper into it. The ancient Greeks used to say, Kairos is the moment the archer releases the arrow when the wind is just right. Imagine that. You've pulled back the string. You've taken aim You've trained with the bow, maybe even for decades. But you don't release on command. You wait for that invisible yes. That shift in the air you cannot see, you can only feel. When the wind changes, the arrow flies true. And that's how sacred action works. It's not just being prepared, it's choosing to participate with the field. Many visionary leaders are overtrained as archers, but they haven't yet learned to feel the wind. So they release too early or too late. Kairos asks you to become a listener of the air. The song that we played in our intro warm-up from the School of Imagination Radio Hour playlist, there's a quote, a lyric that says, "We don't force blooms when the roots ain't ripe." Story number 3, the bamboo pause. A story from nature. Chinese bamboo takes 5 years to break through the ground. You water it, you feed it, and you sit there and you stare at bare soil. And for 5 years, nothing seems to happen. But then, in the 5th year, it grows 90 feet. 90 feet in just 6 weeks. During all of those quiet years, the bamboo was growing its root system, expanding unseen, strengthening its base, aligning in preparation for the surge. And that is Kairos. Sometimes the silence is not stagnation. It's root work. So if your vision has not bloomed yet, try asking this: what is growing underneath? Ariel says, I call it the season of subterra bloom. 100%, yes. Each of these stories points to a single truth. Chronos builds the container, but Kairos delivers the moment. Chronos trains the archer, but Kairos is the wind. Chronos waters the seed. Kairos bursts it open. Let yourself feel into your own story now. Where in your life have you already lived this? What can you point to in your life as something that took root long before it actually became visible? And more importantly, where might this be happening now? Because the moment will come. And when it does, you will know. It's not too late. It's not too soon. It is Kairos, divine standard time, and it is yours. Okay, so let's talk about practical application here as we start to wrap up. Let's come back to the world we walk in. Deadlines, calendars, launches, expectations. We live in a Chronos world, but we don't have to lead like everyone else. Visionary leadership means learning to partner with time, not dominate it. So let's make this practical. How do we lead without forcing? Here are 5 ways to start walking with Kairos, divine standard time, DST, in your everyday leadership. First, normalize sacred pauses. Normalize sacred pauses. The pause is not the opposite of progress. The pause is part of the progress. Choose to make space in your projects for moments of listening. Build into the timeline time for review, for gestation. Do not fill every gap with doing. You can even say out loud, "We are listening right now." And let that be a legitimate phase of creation. What are you doing? How is your project coming along? Oh, yeah, we're listening right now. That's the phase of creation. We're in the process of listening and attuning to the field. And this is how we normalize sacred pauses. Number 2, let the field speak before you finalize. Before launching, announcing, deciding, signing, feel the field. Ask, is this clear? Is there alignment? Does my body feel resistance or resonance? If the energy feels almost, do not force it. We don't want to push a premature birth. Waiting for alignment is not weakness. It's wisdom. Number 3, use language that honors timing. Honor timing in the way you speak. Instead of an automatic hard deadline, this must be done by Friday. In Kairos moments, try saying something like, let's feel for when this wants to land. I sense we're close, but not quite at the door yet. Can we revisit this when the field says go? Language shapes timelines. And language can either fall under the rulership and authority of Chronos, or it can sink into the harmony of Kairos. And so we, as visionary leaders, we can choose to let our words carry attunement, not anxiety. Number 4, honor energetic readiness in others. Sometimes it's not that people are dragging their feet, it's that they're tuning into something you can't hear yet. If someone feels or seems slow to respond, you can ask them, do you feel this is the right time? Not every no is symbolic of resistance. Sometimes it's just sacred timing. And sometimes you are the one being asked to slow down by the soul of the collective. And lastly, number 5, lead with offerings, not efforting. Your role as a visionary leader is to offer and not to push. When the offering is aligned, it will move very naturally. When the offering is forced, it may fracture. So we can ask, am I efforting or am I offering? We want our leadership to be an invitation and not an imposition. In the chat, I see Lauren sharing a story. Lauren says, I had an experience like this morning. I arrived at the San Francisco main commuter bus terminal and then took a local city bus the last mile. I appeared to be running chronologically late to work, And the bus was agonizingly slow, with patrons in wheelchairs getting on and off almost every block. Finally, about 3 blocks from my office, a patron in a wheelchair could not get off the bus because the wheelchair was stuck. Then a large, strong man wearing a Salvation Army t-shirt, love that, it's a little wink from the author there, lifted the guy and the chair into place. A gain for Kairos over Chronos. Beautiful. I love that. Okay, so to close, as we're getting ready to transition to Dream Logic, our next radio hour, here's our final reflection here for this Temporal Mastery radio hour. We are not here to escape time. We're here to remember how to be in it sacredly. We don't need to abandon Chronos. We just need to let Kairos lead. Your calendar can still hold structure, but now your soul decides the tempo. Because the truth is, leadership is not just what you say or what you build. It's when you move. It's how you sense. And it's what you honor in the field. And when you honor Kairos, you become not just a leader of people. You become a leader of time.